Welcome to this short video on managing compliance drift for DDO. My name is Evan and I'm an FSI consultant at Sitecore. Today, I'd like to briefly introduce how Sitecore can help avoid compliance drift with a specific lens of DDO, keeping your organization safe from regulatory breach. From our experience working with financial institutions, we've seen issues arise from compliance drift. An organization intends to be compliant with regulations, solves the problem at a point in time, but as products, technology, and regulations change, the solution does not adapt and scale. We were initially compliant, but have drifted into non-compliance. At Sitecore, we have identified 3 areas that tend to promote or exaggerate compliance drift. Firstly, compliance is not an embedded function across the business. Compliance tends to be either siloed and unaware of wider changes and initiatives, or channel-specific and only solving the problem specifically for, say, mobile or web or assisted channels, but not all, and not all of them consistently. Secondly, channel and product changes. Importantly, we need to move quickly and give our customers the products and experiences that they expect. But as these things change, we have seen certain areas get left behind or fall out of sync, introducing areas of increased risk. And finally, customers can have a fragmented experience. A common customer journey has many touch points in a financial institution, perhaps researching online to onboarding with branch assistants. The messaging, offers, and products need to be consistent regardless of how and when a customer chooses to interact. The problem is, how do we remove roadblocks and more easily enable compliance across teams, functions, products, channels, while still allowing the flexibility to respond to the market? Let's take a closer look at how compliance drift can occur. Firstly, we have product and regulatory rules. These rules may describe the product's intended market. In the case of DDO, that would be TMDs. It may have information about its audit status. It may even be feature requirements inside of the product itself. Internally, financial institutions have multiple stakeholders with different roles. This may include product teams, legal, customer teams, business development, risk, IT, and internal audit. These teams must interpret the rules and regulations to ensure that the organization's actions and interactions with customers are managed in an appropriately compliant way, regardless of which channel any customer interacts on. Perhaps they interact on the website, maybe through a mobile app. They may interact through an assisted channel with a broker or in a branch. They may be interacting on a piece of technology that's been enabled over API inside of the organization. To make this happen, the internal stakeholders must collaborate and codify the rules. For example, the stakeholders may meet to discuss how this is going to be implemented on web. They will collaborate, codify the rules, and have them distributed on the web channel. Perhaps these same stakeholders may decide how these rules will be interpreted and implemented across mobile. When looking at a different channel, however, we inevitably have a different set of stakeholders collaborating and codifying the rules. Perhaps a different set of stakeholders again may operate over branches and across APIs. And this is where compliance drift begins. Perhaps the implementation that happened on web and mobile, even though it had the same internal stakeholders, was codified and implemented just slightly differently. If that's the case, we will get inconsistencies across those channels. In the case where we have different sets of internal stakeholders collaborating, such as with broker and web channels, we may even find that there's an inconsistency in the way those rules were interpreted, in which case we will see inconsistencies in the assisted channels. Now, this is after the initial implementation. We are already seeing areas where inconsistency and breach can occur. But when we are considering the next iteration of changes, these inconsistencies will continue and be amplified and will affect all channels. Where we were once compliant, we have drifted into non-compliance. With DDO specifically, we know that we will be continually monitoring user interactions and adjusting TMDs. So we need to plan for this type of iteration. Now let's take a look at what this might look like if we were managing the rules and regulations centrally. Firstly, all of our internal stakeholders would be collaborating in the same location. This would mitigate the risk of having a difference in interpretation and implementation. As new stakeholders provide input, all the rules are updated and consistent across all channels. Having this single place for the codification of products and regulatory rules now means that we can distribute it evenly across channels, ensuring consistency there as well. As we know with DDO, we will be continually monitoring how our customers are interacting with our products and feeding that back into the rule set. This means that as we learn more, change our understanding of these rules and change the products for our customers, we can be sure that it only ever happens one time consistently across all channels, mitigating that compliance drift. But how exactly can we do that using Sitecore technology? Firstly, Sitecore enables capture and consolidation of all customer data in real time. Using a decision canvas, all stakeholders can collaborate to build decision flows that are evaluated in real time. These decision flows can be used in any channel, which helps ensure that our customers have a consistent conversation across your digital channels and when engaged with staff or brokers in an assisted channel. Decisions can be enriched with any data from your organization, such as credit checks, employment status, or current interest rates. We have first-party customer data consolidated and decision flows set up. And now we have individual rules which are created in a table that is easy to understand and change. Here we can manage TMDs and knockout questions by codifying the rules for simplicity and consistency. It also helps reduce human error that can lead to compliance drift. Rules are modeled and can be promoted in a way that is safe and predictable. Decisions are created in draft mode and then moved into a silent test. This means that we can understand exactly what would happen when this change goes live without having to impact any customer. Once the outcome and quality is assured, we can move the decisions into production. And in production, we can roll the changes out to a small percentage of users to pilot the change slowly and safely. With DDO, Sitecore can help codify your TMDs, distribute to all channels, manage TMD changes, audit all interactions, and help consolidate your first-party customer data into a golden record. Ensure that we have consistency across all channels. We have a much simplified compliance structure. We can reduce human error and reduce loopholes, exploits, and vulnerabilities. We can also lower the cost of implementation. For more information on how Sitecore can help with DDO, you can contact us via sitecore.com or reach out to me on LinkedIn.